Hello, this is our old bathroom. This week it went from this, to this, and then to this. Ah, that's better. So that's basically what most of last week was about. No, we didn't do it ourselves, we had it done by a professional, but what we did do was clear up all of this stuff.
Nice. Alright, another big one, and that should do it. Well done. Now we can pick all these bits up and put them in.
Well done indeed, daughter. And I had to scrape all the paint off this. I did all the painting and decorating. I had to learn how to make good and plaster and stuff. So don't look too closely at the walls. But don't worry, this isn't going to become a house renovation channel. We're all about rural life and homesteading. But it is nice to have one of the rooms done and to have a nice quality bathroom again. So that's great, but it did rather take over last week, so I didn't get round to installing this garden gate that you saw me start last week. That will probably be in next week's video. This week we're getting our potatoes in the ground, so watch through to the end of the video and I'll give you a step-by-step guide showing just how easy it is to grow your own potatoes. And trust me, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Back to the rural stuff. Here's a calf who wandered over from next door's farm to say hello. And the chickens. Just giving the chickens a little treat. Butternut squash. But these two are only interested in grass. Oh, here comes trouble. They're more interested in the available grass just here. I'll give them a big clump of it. Hello, Forsley. We think she's laying. There's a fourth chicken in there having a little dump. Sorry, everyone. Laying an egg. Those of you who enjoyed my mowing video, I've just finished this week's, and anyone interested in the numbers, this is what the kitchen garden looks like on a 1, on its lowest setting and collecting. So I was able to collect from here several big bucket loads, but down there I don't collect anymore. That's the hock on a 5, and that's plenty, and the grass just sits on top and is actually quite good for it. So that's what it's looking like today. Almost, I'd say, almost the place looking at its best. Except for these things, which need to come down because they block the lovely view. But yeah, looking really good. Anyway, little grass update for you there. This is a nice thing to do every year. In this bowl, you'll see loads of manky bits of Forsley's hair after we brushed him. There's also some of my hair because my wife very kindly cut my hair this morning. That's just a nice shot of a tractor in the fields there. There he goes. Hello. Anyway, over here, this is our bird feeding tree, and Becky gets to look at it out of her office all day. We have in here somewhere, if I can find, yes, something I made last year out of chicken wire. This thing, I'm going to put the hair in it because every year, this time of year, the birds take it to put in their nests. So I really like the idea that our dog, and today also me, are helping with the birds nesting. Enjoy, birdies. And I didn't have to film for very long before this splendid great tit obliged by coming and taking some fur. I notice he just takes Forsley's. I feel rather offended. But whatever. Mine gets washed a lot more often than Forsley's does, you know. I love all the bird life around here, but not nearly as much as my lovely lady wife does. And she's become quite an ornithologist and quite knowledgeable. Around here, I see a bird and it goes like this. Oh, that's nice. What's that? She tells me the name. I then forget what it's called. And the next time I see it, I go, oh, that's nice. What's that called? And she tells me, but I think that was a green finch. I think there are some... is that a chaffinch? I don't know. See, I don't know what any of them are called. They're just really nice. Anyway, the good news is Becky has said that in the future she will be filming a video for the channel all about the bird life here. So you can look forward to that one. I'll just edit it together. I promise I won't be adding any misinformation from me. She'll take you through all of the wonderful variety of birds we get here. Here is the only bit in our 8 acres where bluebells grow, but it is spreading slowly, and we might try and spread it into the woodland. And also this lovely wild mint that every time I mow the grass here, it just smells so lovely. Anyone know what kind of mint this is? I think it might be spearmint from the smell. We had some friends come and stay and had loads of fun showing them around. We baked them some bread. And I couldn't resist getting the fire bowl out. And the kids enjoyed roasting some marshmallows over it. Then, of course, because it was Easter, we had a little Easter egg hunt. The Easter bunny hid stuff going all the way down the paths here and haphazardly chucked loads of chocolate in the hock. Kids found most of it, but don't worry, I'll be going and getting all of it up before Forsley gets down there. It's a couple of days after the Easter weekend when we really should have got our potatoes in the ground, but we had some lovely friends come to stay and we were having too much fun with them to make them do any gardening jobs. So I've got to get them in today. We grew potatoes properly for the first time last year. A farmer friend of ours gave us a masterclass and told us we had really good soil for it, and he wasn't wrong. We had a great crop last year. So this isn't really a masterclass from me because I ain't no master, but this is how we do it. And we're going to get 2 trenches dug. Last year we did 3, but we found that we didn't really have enough space for mounding up. There's a lot of bee activity around here, so I'm going to try not to get stung today. But yeah, let's get these potatoes in the ground. Okay, so here are our chitted potatoes. So we've got some Charlottes, we've got Maris Pipers, which is like the Mac Daddy of all potatoes. That's what you want your Christmas roasts made out of. That's my favourite anyway. And our farmer friend gave us some Red Dukes. So we're going to plant these and as many of these as possible, because I only want to use that one bed. And yeah, let's get them in the ground. So I'm going to dig my trenches like this. Maris Pipers up that side, Charlottes up that side, and they go about 6 inches down, covered over with earth, and then about 30 centimetres apart. So we haven't got too many, so we'll probably then have some space up this end for the Red Dukes. Use that to keep me straight. This first bit is going to involve me puncturing through some cardboard that we laid. I think we were quite absent-mindedly laid it, but it has had the benefit of obviously suppressing weeds. So if we plant down into the really deep stuff, it won't affect the potatoes, and hopefully we'll have to weed the bed a bit less. He says weeding the bed. Right, let's get this trench dug and hope that the cardboard isn't too strong. Nah, it's fine. You're fine. That's not a good idea because it's just moving. You live and learn, don't you? Learning the good life, remember. You learn what works and what doesn't. Usually by just getting it wrong. All this spare earth that I pull aside, I'm not going to cover it back over because I've got some compost to put on, which is going to be richer for the potatoes to start with. And also it's good to have this extra earth for mounding up or earthing up, whichever you say, which I'll talk about later on. So that'll just live there until I need it in a few weeks' time. Right. I reckon I need to dig it slightly deeper and I can get the potatoes in. Good, that's good. I've got a good amount of depth there to cover the chits over. Now, one tip that I've seen this year that I've never tried, but with the Maris Pipers I'm going to do it, probably not with the Charlottes, but when you've got more than one chit, a little bit of growth, if you break off all but one of them and pick the strongest looking one, but these look about the same, so just as if you were going to cook with potatoes that have gone a little bit, they've got a couple of eyes as they call them, just leave one chit there and plug it in, chit facing up. Is it called a chit? It might not be called a chit, it might be called something else, but the bit that grows facing up, and then cover it over with your soil, not all of it, but I'm going to put some compost in there actually. So I'll
talking you through my thought processes as I go. I'll do that at the end. I'll get these in first. So let's remove all these. Let's knock them off. That's a nice one at the top. About 30 centimeters. Get that there. Next one. Once you've done your digging, it's pretty quick and easy to do this bit. Another 30 centimeters along. Oh, loads on this one. So I think that's going to be our growing one there. I like a nice big Maris Piper, you see, so I don't want lots of little ones. I want fewer bigger ones. Fewer bigger ones. That bit of cardboard there. All right. Yeah, knock these guys off. I'm going to do another video on compost because I'm very proud of the compost bins that I built in the first year here out of pallets and decking boards. And I'm going to add to that probably at some point with a roof because it's obviously exposed to the elements and you get less control over it then. But for now, the bins are doing great, but the compost inside them, we haven't quite nailed it yet. I know it's pretty easy to make compost, but we've stuffed it up because we've used too much brown material and not enough green. So it hasn't really made proper compost, but it has made a really great mulch. Basically, it's mostly made up of the chicken's bedding, and chicken manure is great for gardens and for growing food, as long as it's well rotted, of course. But the sort of wood chip and chicken feces has been sort of like 90% of our compost, and that's not going to make a proper compost. And I haven't got a thermometer, I haven't been wetting it, all that stuff. So we just gave it a go in the first year. Obviously, it's not produced the best compost. So we're going to try again with some more varied stuff. I tell you what, if I don't get stung by a bee today, it'll be a miracle. They're really going nuts. I think they are going in here. You know, Becky told me I needed to block up these holes in the shed in a previous video. I haven't done that. So, I don't know, maybe we'll get some free honey. You never know. Right, let's get these composted and then I'll do the next row. Go away, bee. I mean you no harm, so don't harm me. So as I say, in future years, I hope to be doing that, not with shop-bought compost, but with our own. But that, at least they've got some rich organic material now to start growing. Bung that there. Okay, then you cover them up with about maybe a third of this little pile that's going to come back and earth up. And then, the key thing, earthing up isn't a dark art, which I thought it was. Basically, you just wait for them to be about that tall, 6 to 9 inches, I think it says on the Google. And then you earth up around the stems. So most of the stem isn't exposed to sunlight, that's all. Leaves out the top, but the stem's earthed up. That'll be in a few weeks or just however quickly they grow. And you do that again another few weeks later. By the end, the plant will be about that big, it'll start flowering, and then you can start harvesting. They're nicely covered. Now if animals, as I found last year, if animals come and start burrowing and bringing their potatoes up out the ground, you just got to keep an eye on it and put them back in and make sure they're covered over. So that's Maris Pipers on the front row. And I don't need to bother putting a peg in because I've got a YouTube channel, so I can just refer back to this video if I forget which order I planted them in. So interestingly, I wasn't going to be knocking the growth chits off this one anyway, off the Charlottes, because I don't mind having smaller new potatoes, but they seem to have mainly developed a main one anyway. That's interesting. So, no need on both counts. Here we go. There's a big stone there. I will remove that one, but in general, apparently, they don't really mind stones. just go around them. I've run out of room, but I only had room for 2 or 3 red duke plants, so I'm going to grow some red dukes in this pot and see how we get on. It's got holes in, little drain, fill it up with some compost, bingo bango. I've never grown potatoes in pots, but I see people doing it all the time, so suck it and see being the order of the day here at Learning the Good Life. So I'm going to suck some red dukes. What? You know what I mean. Okay, so that's them nicely covered. I've got plenty of earth around these sides along the edges for earthing up, and I've got plenty of space in the middle here to drag from. Last year we had another row planted there, which meant it was too hard to earth up, but this is looking good. So we've gone for fewer plants, but we'll probably get bigger and more potatoes, I'm hopeful. As ever, time will tell, but what feels great is potatoes are in the ground. I've got to water them in, and that's another job done. What? Okay. I'm going to find a kink. There is no kink. Okay. I don't know what went on there. Maybe you're just slow to wake up. Give them a really good water. It's been quite dry recently. So there you go, it really is as simple as that, and I've probably added a couple of steps that you didn't even need to bother with. You know, you just dig a hole, stick a chitted potato in, or even one that hasn't been, and just wait a bit longer. They'll all grow. I think the important bit is once they grow up to a certain height, just protecting those stems and making sure that the tubers don't go all green and unedible. Inedible? Inedible. But this bit's well easy. It's the demystification of gardening that has really got me into it in terms of growing food. Some stuff just seems so inaccessible when you watch these experts doing it, but actually, the more you try, the more you learn. And as I always say to the kids, the more you get wrong, that's really helpful, because that's really going to teach you how to do it right, right? Just come with me a minute, will you? So we had too many red dukes to plant, and I had some left over that I was just on my way to throw away. I don't like putting them in the compost bin because the smell of rotting potatoes is like catnip to rats, or ratnip you might say. So I was just on my way to chuck them over here, which is sort of far enough away from the house. And I just found this patch of scrubby land, which we're in the middle of clearing. See all this stuff? This is broom, and it really spreads like a weed, and we're trying to just push it back and reclaim the grass, you know, because I want more grass to mow, sure. So yeah, we're just trying to get rid of that. And our farmer friend, the very same potato masterclass giver, has been having a go with his tractor, and it's a really efficient way of doing it. But we've got this really rocky ground, and I just took a look at it and I went, you've just said on your video that potatoes don't mind growing in rocky ground, so why don't we give it a go? I hate waste, so why don't we just prove it? I'll just take 5 minutes. I was going to throw them away anyway, and I've literally just done this to make a trench, and why not just chuck them in the ground? And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So let's give it a go. So go on, red dukes, give it your best shot. You've got no compost. I might forget to water over here a bit more often. You've got loads of rocks to contend with. Let's see what we get, eh?
So that's it. Hopefully we'll get as good a haul as we got last year. And why not give it a go yourself? If an idiot like me can do it, anyone can. Thanks for watching. See you next week on Learning the Good Life.